building and rebuilding America's infrastructure, touching our lives in 100 different ways, through half a century of design engineering achievement, around the country and around the globe. The Michael Baker Corporation and Baker Engineers. Built on a rich tradition of professional excellence, Baker has compiled an outstanding record of engineering achievements, with projects ranging from military operations to urban planning, from harbors and ports to industrial parks, and from power plants to football stadiums. Headquartered in Beaver, Pennsylvania, Baker Engineers is currently ranked in the top 10% of the 500 largest design engineering firms in the United States. It's also one of the oldest. Baker Engineers was founded on May 1st, 1940, but some might say that its actual beginnings go back a bit further, all the way back to Michael Baker Jr.'s boyhood years and the lessons taught by his father, a professional engineer and surveyor. Mike's younger brother, Bill, remembers it well.
My dad was of the school that used to get everybody up quite early in the morning, and he felt that everybody should do a little bit of work each day. So when we were quite young, we all started to work with him as helping on survey crews and cutting down trees, whatever there was to do.
Bill's earliest recollections of his older brother go back to Mike's high school days.
He had the largest paper route in town, and he was active at various things at school, quite active in sports. He was on the football team, he was on the track team, and he was on the debate team, and he was president of his high school class and one of the top honor students, maybe in the top 2 or 3 in the class. He also played a trombone and belonged to an orchestra. In fact, later on had his own orchestra. And so he seemed like he was always getting into things that he could hopefully make some money at.
But money became a scarce commodity with the arrival of the Great Depression.
Within the year, 3 million Americans are ex-wage earners, unemployed. And the ranks of the unemployed ought to soar to 15 million.
By the time young Mike had completed his first year at Penn State University, college tuition was out of the question. Jobs he could muster just didn't provide enough capital. But Mike found a way to get it, as Joe Ricker explains.
He wrote to a number of businessmen, industrial leaders and so forth in Beaver County, asking them if they would consider loaning him money so that he could complete his education. Only one responded, and he responded with a generous contribution. And in his letter of response, he said, "There's more where this came from when you run out of money."
That personal credit line, combined with a series of part-time jobs, financed a Penn State engineering degree. And in 1936, Mike was graduated at the top of his class. He was already working as borough engineer for State College, but within 2 years he was working for himself, a full partner in a new home building and coal stripping operation.
He was doing quite well for a while, but it was just too much of a shoestring operation, and finally he had to go bankrupt. It didn't seem to bother him. He was ready to start again.
Once the bankruptcy papers were put to rest, Mike did start again, and on May 1st, 1940, launched the Michael Baker Jr. consulting firm, headquartered in a small rented hotel room in the Penn Beaver Hotel in Rochester, Pennsylvania. For the first 2 years, Mike's efforts led to a small but steady stream of surveying and drafting assignments. But in 1942, a Sunday morning phone call brought real opportunity, an extensive survey of a defense property near Paducah, with a nearly impossible deadline. 25 survey parties in the field within 4 days, and job completion within 60.
Now, he had about 6 or 8 survey people working for him at the time. That was his principal business, surveying, and a little bit of municipal work design, not too much. And he only had 3 or 4 vehicles. But he came back with that contract that Sunday afternoon, And nightfall saw him on the telephone, calling everybody that he knew who was a surveyor, a party chief, begging, borrowing, renting vehicles to take these people to Paducah, Kentucky. The same way with survey equipment. They had to get transits and all this material. And he got his crews down there in plenty of time, and they finished the job ahead of schedule.
Michael Baker had won his spurs, and during the remaining years of World War II, an avalanche of assignments was to follow. During the next 4 years, through the collective efforts of some 1,000 employees, Baker was helping to shape the nation's military defenses from Brazil to Alaska. And by the end of the war, the firm had provided engineering services at 122 airfields.
Two million people screamed their elation at the end of the most devastating war in recorded history. For 24 hours, the celebration went on, and not for a minute did it lag. Victory had come. Old Glory waved over a happy land.
Even before war's end, Baker had diversified into city, regional, and industrial planning, and had begun a personal campaign to convince public highway officials of the benefits provided by private consultants. The first payoff came in 1943, when Pennsylvania's Department of Highways chose Baker to design the Penn-Lincoln Parkway East from downtown Pittsburgh to the eastern suburbs. At that time, it was the largest single construction project ever undertaken by the Commonwealth. The project presented a number of challenges to Baker, including the first of many tunnel design efforts, the twin-tube Squirrel Hill Tunnel. But if the 50s and 60s provided opportunity for growth and diversification, they also provided opportunity for international expansion.
One of the most colorful and important visitors to America in recent years is King Saud of Saudi Arabia, who was greeted by Ambassador Lodge on his arrival in New York. In Washington, the chief executive breaks precedent to greet his royal visitor at the airport.
Meanwhile, Michael Baker was also meeting with the Saudis, and in 1951 he returned from the Middle East with yet another milestone contract calling for service as consulting engineer and construction administrator for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Michael Baker had truly joined the ranks of international engineering consultants. And in the years that followed, Baker engineers would complete projects in 33 countries around the globe, from the Far East to the Arctic Circle. Baker would earn assignments in all 50 states, provide consulting and design services to 16 state departments of transportation and to major toll transportation agencies across the country. Since its inception in 1940, Baker has engineered more than 10,000 miles of major highways and completed nearly 90 major highway assignments. Baker has led the industry in the use of computer-aided drafting and design for highway applications, and in pioneering dramatic advancements in automated bridge design.